ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're doing something I actually haven't covered in like over a year. It's a case, and this is the Corsair Crystal 460X. So let's jump right into it then with the main features. So obviously the first thing you're going to notice is that it's quite a compact design, but this will still take a full ATX motherboard and multiple GPUs, so that's really good. Then probably the second thing you're going to notice is the use of tempered glass. So that's full tempered glass on the left hand side and on the front, which is pretty cool. As far as like fingerproofing goes, it's okay. It's not 100% like fingerprint proof, but it does a pretty good job for the most part. So I would say it's like semi-fingerprint proof. I would put it that way. Now it's also featuring 3 RGB Corsair SP120 LED fans in the front, so that's really good. You're going to be able to change the colors there to match whatever sort of theme you have going on, and that's going to look really sexy with its going. It also doesn't have any drive cages. This is quite like a minimalistic type case, so that's really good too. They say it's to stop any blockage of airflow, so you get good airflow straight to your GPU and of course your CPU cooler also. And build quality wise, I've pulled this apart a bit, had a good look around it, and it actually does feel extremely well built. I've pretty much exclusively used Corsair cases for this reason. I have played with some other ones, and I am a big fan of the Define series of cases, especially the R5. But yeah, for me personally, Corsair's build quality as far as their cases go are just tremendous. It's always very, very good. Now let's talk about the I/O up on the top there. So we'll go left to right. So you have a color button, a speed button, and a mode fan setting button there, so you can play with that if you want. You also get a restart button, a HDD light, which is good to see, a headphone in and mic in, pretty standard, and then just 2 USB 3.0 ports. I would have liked to have seen 4. To be honest, I think that should really be the minimum, but it only has 2. And of course a power button there. Now let's move around to the fronts then and have a look. So it, as I said before, it has that really sexy looking tempered glass look, which I really like. That's really nice. Now, if you're wondering where the air actually intakes from, it's very similar to the Define R5 in that it intakes from the side, so that's really good. Now you can take out the screws that hold in the front glass by using your fingers, although I would prefer using a screwdriver. My main worry is because they've used, it's not a Phillips head on the screws, it means it can slip out, and that's not really good. You could scratch it, so I would have liked them to use Phillips screws there, but they didn't. Anyways, moving on. Once you get that off, you'll see there's a magnetic dust filter there, so you can pull that off for easy cleaning if you want. That's always good to see. And as far as radiator options or fan options, of course it has the 3 120mm SP120 fans in from standard, but you can fit up to a 360mm radiator or a 280mm radiator in the front, or a 240 for that. While we're there, you may as well say that. So yeah, that's really good too. Lots of options there. A lot of people now are running their radiators in the front, especially in cases which do not have dust filters in the top. So it is becoming more prevalent these days to see people mounting radiators in the front of their case. Now let's move over to the top that we mentioned that. So it does actually have a nice magnetic dust filter in the top, so that's also good to see. However, it can only take either 2 140 or 2 120mm fans in the top, but they're saying in the manual that it can only take up to a 240mm radiator, not a 280mm. Now I'm sure some of you guys out there could probably fit a 280 in the top, but there must be some reason why they're saying that you can only get a 240mm in there. Maybe it's the clearances at the back, which I would assume might be the case because that's been a problem in the past with some cases out there. Now let's move to the side then. So the left hand side again has that nice tempered glass. So that's really good. Getting the screws out is pretty easy, much easier in the front actually, so that's really good. I just like it. It's going to show off all your components really nicely, so that's really cool. And if we flip over to the other side, the right hand side, if you pull that off, which is just unscrews from the back, you'll see that there's a fan hub, which is cool. You can plug in all your fans there. There's also a fan lighting controller, which is going to be cool. You could probably mount that somewhere else so it's a bit more accessible than having to take the back off, but yeah, so you could do that too. There's room for SSDs to just drop straight in, a large CPU cutout on the back, and as far as cable management goes, it looks like there's a decent amount of room there. You should be fine. I would have liked maybe a little bit more, but it's just going to be depending on how much stuff you're running in your rig. But yeah, should be enough there for the majority of users. Now let's talk about the bottom then. So you'll see that the HDD cage and the PSU is all enclosed, which I kind of like. I can see where they're going with this, but I don't know. It'll look more tidy, that's for sure. It'll look super, super tidy, and that's always a good thing. But I don't know how I truly feel about it. However, if you have a big problem with it, you can whip it all out and then it'll just look like normal. So you can do that if you really want to, and it's all pretty straightforward. There's plenty of room, even with all the enclosures in, for a power supply. You're gonna that'll be just fine, and you'll be able to run 3 hard drives down there as well. So that's good too. And if you look at the very bottom, there's a dust filter there as well for the power supply. But if you're one of these people that like running your power supply with the fan facing up, then you're obviously going to need to take the enclosure out. Well, you probably could still run it with the enclosure in, but it might be a little bit suffocated in there. Now, as far as the back goes, this just has, there's plenty of slots there, so that'll be really good for everyone if you're going to be running multiple GPUs or anything like that. And as far as radiator mounts, you can get you can only fit a 120mm fan in there, so that's another thing to consider. And that brings us now to the conclusion. And what do I make of the Corsair Crystal 460X? So I think it's sexy, it's compact, and it's going to be really good for the people out there wanting an extremely clean looking build in terms of not seeing a lot of cables. You know, the people that like to go absolutely crazy with cable management, they're going to have a field day with this case. And someone who wants something a bit more compact, not something too huge or anything like that. So yeah, it's going to suit those people really well. Now, as far as actually seeing this with the build inside of it, I'm leaving that over to Greg on Playtech TV. So I'll leave the links to that video as soon as it goes up in this video. I don't think he's chucked it up just yet, but he'll be getting it out very, very soon. So I was just going to do the overview of the case and basically all that, and then he's going to do a bit more of like what it was like to build with and showing off what it actually looks like with a build in it. So definitely head over and check out Greg's video. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.